I haven't made a video in a while because I've been depressed. And I've been depressed partially for virtually all the reasons why it's a great time to be making anti-social justice warrior videos. The Google Manifesto, Antifa and the alt-right rioting in the fucking streets, crazy shit going on all over Europe with Antifa and Islamic terrorism, the mainstream media just being a smorgasbord of lies and slander and falsities and propaganda. It's insane. There's so much to talk about, but I don't have choice paralysis. I have existential despair. But there is an upside to how much downside there is. When the alt-right is rioting in the street and beating people with tiki torches, when Antifa is burning down Hamburg, people start to realize how bad identity politics is, and that it's not necessarily universal to one side or the other. I would say there's more downside to the rise of the alt-right, if only because the alt-right is what the left stereotypes everybody to the right of Marx as. The alt-right really are racist, ethno-nationalists, fucking neo-Nazis. Some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are just sort of diet neo-Nazi. Like, oh, we don't want to kill anybody, and we're only maybe tangentially interested in Hitler, and we definitely don't like Jews, but, we want the right to argue for the white identity and shit. And, oh, man. The rise of the social justice warriors actually presented an opportunity to create a positive white identity that is respected rather than the absolute carnival of anti-white racism that the entire media has been for the last, 10 years. And certainly a lot in the last 3 or 4. But no, they made a joke out of everybody with white skin, and now they sort of serve to help justify the social justice warrior case that all white people are fucking evil. The problem is, if you were to look at, say, a diagram of what a progressive social justice warrior thinks the alt-right is, it's literally, if you take right here, okay, so we got the x-axis of left and right, or that's probably reversed on this camera, so left and right. And then you got, the religious conservative Republican autocratic plutocratic douches over here. And then down here maybe you have some libertarians, and somewhere off way to that side is the alt-right. Then you got over here, you got on the left, down here, you got liberals, left-leaning libertarians like me, especially closer to the center of the XY or the x-axis, where you understand a lot of conservative policy, but also support a lot of policy that conservatives and right-leaning libertarians would not support. And then you have this quadrant. And further into this quadrant is this little corner of communism. And communism is getting ridiculously popular because people are ridiculously stupid and subjective to propaganda. And this corner wants to describe all of this as the alt-right. You're liberal, you get the bullet too. Alt-right. These are evil people, psychotic people, racist people, thoroughly disgusting in every way. And this is why people think horseshoe theory is a thing, because you got these cunts and then kind of these cunts right around here. Alt-right, communist, feminist pieces of shit, and they jerk each other off. And then the vast fucking majority of the country is this, and most of this. And the silver lining to the whole Antifa bullshit and the rise of the alt-right is these people make such asses of themselves, are so fucking unjustified and such pieces of gigantic cocksucking shit that any exposure they get is incredibly difficult to spin. Google has tried desperately to spin their firing of James Damore, and they have failed. because they are so clearly bigoted, wrong, evil, and communist. It's been heavily implied. Oh my god, is that a goddamn ice cream truck? Let's take a moment to appreciate the fucking circus that everything is. I don't know if you guys can hear that shit, but I fucking hate the ice cream truck. These people make just such asses of themselves that it's like, holy shit. Like, who in their right mind would take any of these people seriously? And so when Google makes this kind of severe mistake and outs themselves as bigots, pro-communist, pro-feminist pieces of shit, and the alt-right tries to say we're just talking about we want an identity for white people, and then they do a bunch of stupid bullshit and look just like Antifa with a skinhead. Oh my god, kill yourself, ice cream truck. The moral of the story is that there's no way to spin this. And the media, you cannot trust. Because they lied about PewDiePie. They lied about JonTron. And now they're lying about James Damore. And all they do is lie. And I want to take the time to remind you of the epitaph I want on my tombstone. I want my black and white picture of my ugly mug looking all suave and intelligent and wise. And the quote is, "When everything is information, lying is the ultimate evil." And all the left-wing media does is lie. We're not going to war with North Korea. Trump's not a transphobe. Literally everybody who's not a communist is not a Nazi. Stop lying. That's all they do is lie. And thankfully, more and more people are being aware, even people who are not interested in the social justice warrior discussion, they're not interested in maybe even all that much of the politics in general. They're not going to go burn effigies of Trump in the street, and they're not going to go shoot up dummies made up to look like Barack Obama. They just want to be left alone. Most people are libertarian. They want to mind their own business, and they want you to mind the fuck out of yours. And the more that you see this bullshit in the media, the more people will be aware that identitarians are fucking ridiculous and insane and dangerous. And the only risk we have is that the media will always pick a side and spin, 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 spin. And the more the media blatantly lies, like the CNN blackmail, the Google manifesto, the more we can tell that these people are liars. So the moral of the story is do not trust the mainstream media. I don't care if it's Breitbart. I don't care if it's InfoWars. They're relatively mainstream anymore, just on that sort of ridiculous bias side of it. You can't trust the Huffington Post. You can't trust Vox. You can't trust Vice. You can't trust Salon. You can't trust the Washington Post. You can't trust the Washington Times. You can't trust the New York Times. You can't trust the Wall Street Journal. You can't trust CNN or MSNBC or Fox. All they do is lie. Journalism is dead, and the only thing left to do is spin. And all they do is lie. The only people you can even begin to trust, no matter what bias you have, is independent media. They're the only people who even come close to telling you the truth. They're the only people who have the balls to send journalists into these riots and show you what's really going on. You'll notice that the Venezuelan riots and the crazy shit going with the communist takeover there is not getting a whole lot of news time. Similar shit is going all over the world, and nobody wants to broadcast the revolution here in America. You basically can't trust the American media, and when it comes to, you can't trust the German media, you can't trust the Swedish media, and you can't trust the BBC. They're all liars and agenda-driven psychopaths. You can't trust the Australian media, I think, at all. I don't have a lot of experience with the Australian media, and all of it is incredibly negative and poor, and speaks very poorly of the Australian media. You just can't trust anybody. So at this point, I have to tell you that you can't afford to be a bigot anymore. You can't afford to be biased anymore. You have to come to the center and start looking at these competing views and look at people's sources and find out who's telling the truth. Because very rarely anymore is anybody telling you the truth. And this is why I'm not popular. Because, the alt-right will get mad at me for refusing to defend a racist who is tied to a political platform, it's not like Google, who's supposed to be a nonpartisan tech industry, firing somebody. It's a political organization firing a representative for not representing the party, which is their fucking job. It's completely different. Nobody wanted to hear that. Everybody wanted to call me a cuck. Black supremacists won't tolerate my non-support of BLM because I refuse to do anything but look at the actual facts of cases, and I can point to a Walter Scott and call that murder. I can point to a Philandro Castile and call that a justifiable use of lethal force, and everybody's mad. It doesn't matter. Telling the truth is not the way to grow your channel, by the way. It's not the way to be popular. Not right now. But with how obvious everybody is for being a bald-faced fucking liar, or bold-faced fucking liar, whichever way that saying is, it works both ways. The more that people are outed as liars, the better. And this is why I always got very furious at people for being so critical of the skeptic community. First of all, we've never been a community. What ties us together is our refusal to believe the bullshit that's fed to us, and some of us focus on different spoons of bullshit than the others. It's such a non-issue, it drives me insane. But everybody should be a skeptic. Do not eat the spoonful of bullshit, because there's a dump truck full of it waiting for you. Trust no one. Fact check everything. You will get things wrong, just like I have before. But you will get more right than the people that you're supposed to trust, the mainstream media, because they don't care. They're not here to tell you the truth. And if you care about what is true, you're going to have to start doing some research for yourself. Thanks for watching.